When he turned his back from shoulder to shoulder, it looked like as wide as the tailgate of a truck.
And just darkness, literal darkness, just came like all over, just all over me except where I was standing.
This thing let out the most blood-curdling, mind-blowing, spine-tingling scream that you've ever heard in your life, and it cut through me like a knife.
And I knew that they were going to take me. I just knew it. And then the next thing I can remember is being levitated.
Well, when I look in there, I see two big eyes staring back at me.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Bump Podcast, a place for the believers of the unexplained, monsters, and paranormal. Join us, and we'll go face to face with what goes bump in the night.
One night in the middle of the night, like 3 o'clock in the morning, my ex-husband comes to me and he's like, "Get up. You got to hear this. Get up." And I'm like, "What the heck?" He's like, "Come here, come here, come here." So we had put in a sliding glass door and all we had was a lean-to over it just to, keep firewood dry or whatever. Hmm. And I think it was probably like April, because I remember it was cold, but it was like really wet. And there wasn't snow, but everything was still just soggy and brown and, So he opens the sliding glass door and I'm like, "I don't hear anything." He's like, just a minute. And then about 15 seconds later, I don't know what it was. It was behind his sister. His sister was across the street. She had a cabin. She wasn't there at the time. We were the only ones that lived there. Everybody else's were cabins, and they were only there sometimes. Behind his sister's cabin, you'd go about another quarter mile, and then there was power lines, and then about another quarter mile, and then there was a lake, Avery Lake. And it was probably somewhere around those power lines. And I can't even describe it, but you could feel it. It was a howl, roar, scream, all combined together. And when it went off, you could feel it. Like when you're too close to a speaker at a concert, and you could feel the reverberation.
Wow. And
the only way I can describe it is, it sounded like something was, like if something lost a child. It just sounded so mournful, like it was just almost like a wail. And the closest thing I can compare it to, that somebody can get a kind of an idea of what I'm talking about, is the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, but it was higher pitched and had like a howl in with it, but it was that big and loud of a noise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I've had people say, "Well, it was a fox. They make weird noises." And I'm like, okay, but a fox you don't feel it when a fox does it. You know what I'm saying? So unless this was like an 1,100-pound fox. And besides that, I've been going up north and had lived up north enough to know I've heard foxes and coyotes, even wolves, bears, and even big cats, which they say they don't have up there, but they do, because I've seen them, like a puma type, cougar type cat. I've seen that up there. They say they're not up there, but they are. I'd heard all that. I know what a fox sounds like. I know what a bear sounds like. This is not what that was. And again, for it to be that far away and for us to be able to feel it, but it would go off probably like every 30 seconds or so. And it wasn't exactly, but there was a break in between, and it would do it again. And it was the same, so that you knew it was coming from the same thing, but it wasn't the same to where it was exactly the same every time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was the same noise, but not identical every single time, so that it wasn't like a machine, or it wasn't like a I don't want to say a speaker, but back then they didn't have Bluetooth speakers or anything, so it wasn't something like that. You could tell it was something living, something big, and at the time I had no I don't want to say no knowledge of Bigfoot, because I had heard of Bigfoot, but I didn't. It was like, whatever, it's a bunch of BS. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So it never even entered my mind at the time. We just sat there for the longest time trying to figure out what it was, and it went off, and it did that for about it was a good 10 minutes or so, and then it just stopped. And hindsight 2020, now because it would do it, and then when it would stop, him and I would sit there and go, "Oh my God, what do you think that was? I don't know. What do you think it was? I don't know. Well, it couldn't have been this." Hindsight, I wish we would have shut up so I could hear if maybe like on the edge of our hearing, if there was something answering or calling in response,
Yeah.
knowing what I know now. At the
Right.
time, I had no clue. But I remember being concerned enough about it that I was afraid it was going to wake up the kids and scare them.
Well, let me ask, when it was making that noise, how long did it carry out that tone?
Oh, it was probably about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
It was long. It was long. That was another reason why people be like, "Oh, it was a fox or whatever." And I'm like, no, the lung capacity and whatever this was, I can't even fathom. So it wasn't a fox or a cougar or a bear or something. But it would go for, I would say, 10 to 15 seconds.
Wow.
Roughly every time. And then it would pause for maybe around 20 to 30 seconds, and then it would do it again. And to be able to sustain that kind of a call over and over and over again, time after time, had to be something. And again, I didn't see anything, so I don't know what that was. But it was northern Michigan, and at the time I wasn't really aware, but the Michigan dog man is a thing too. So
Yeah, it is. I hadn't even thought about that yet.
and I do know somebody that claims they saw a Michigan dog man. So I've never had any experiences with that, but I wouldn't. I've heard enough consistent stories from different people that don't know each other with details that match to make me think something's going on with the whole dog man thing. But yeah, so I don't know what that was. Could have been anything, but I know what it wasn't. So, okay, so then it was probably a few years after that. I don't remember exactly. Could have been 2 years, could have been 5 years. I don't know. But I do know it was summer. And I worked in Gaylord. So I would come home down 32, or is it 33? I think it's 32. So I come down 32, and you're going down the highway like this. I guess you're coming this way down the highway. And then there's a dirt road that goes this way. So you make a hairpin turn, and you take the dirt roads to go home. I wanted to take the dirt roads for whatever reason. I didn't feel like going through town, or I don't know. But it was a beautiful day, and sometimes you just take the back road sometimes. So that's what I was doing. So I come down the highway, and I take this hairpin turn. Now, when you take that hairpin turn, here's the highway, here's the dirt road, and the highway keeps going like this, and the dirt road goes like this. So you have like a pie shaped that just keeps getting bigger and bigger as the dirt road goes off.
Mm-hmm.
In that pie shaped area is a cedar swamp, and it goes down and then back up to the road, between the highway and the dirt road. It goes down, and it's all cedar, and it's boggy, and it's just a cedar swamp.
Yeah.
It just gets wider and wider as you go. So I made that hairpin turn, and I'm in a geo tracker with a soft top. Okay. So I'm basically in a tuna can with no top on it.
Right.
And it was a 4-wheel drive, but you had to get out and lock the hubs, you know?
Yep.
So I'm in this soft top geo tracker, and I'm going down the dirt road, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw something. And my first thought was,